Hi everyone, welcome to my channel and welcome to another SCT sampler kit video with myself, Becky, and my good friend Moira. I'll go ahead and link her channel down below in my description box so you can go on over and check out her project she created for you guys today. Now here I am going to be creating a 12 by 12 layout using that strip of photos you see there. Those were taken at a photo booth around Thanksgiving time, either last year, it might have been the year before. And from the collections we got this month in our kit for September 2020, the Jen Hatfield, the Avenue collection went pretty well with those photos. Now you'll see on this layout, I stick mostly to the golds, the browns, and I do pull in a little bit of black and white as well. So right now I'm just going through my items here, both from the Jen Hatfield collection and also the Cartabella collection we got this month, and just pulling out the pieces that I think will work well with my photos and this layout. Now I'll go ahead and link in my description box all of the items I use on the layout today, as well as the unboxing for this kit. So in this kit, we also got some watercolor paper from Close to My Heart that had some embossed words on there. And in my unboxing video, I told you guys I was going to go ahead and share how I used that paper. And I will be using it here on my layout today. I'm going to be using it together with some gold watercolors. Now, the brand that I'm using, the watercolors, I am not sure the exact brand right now, but I will have it linked down below. And in that palette, you get several different shades of gold. And I think there's a shade of silver, like a glittery white color as well. Or maybe it's just a very, very pale gold. But you see that here right now on my palette, and I'm using it together with a watercolor brush from scrapbook.com, which I absolutely love because I can just fill it up right there with some water, and it helps keep my brush moist throughout my process. In addition, I also spritz my watercolor paper with some water before I began working on it. So right now I'm just swatching out all of the different shades of gold there until I found the one that worked well with the puffy stickers that came with the kit, which would be the third shade of gold from the right. And I'm just going to go ahead and use my watercolor brush and just add it to the paper. Now, once I start doing that, you'll see that the words that are embossed on that paper will just appear in white. And some of the words on there would say love, hello you, today be happy. There's some arrows and some hearts as well. Now I'm not being very precise at all. I'm just going ahead and added it randomly on there. I just want different gradients, different shades of that gold. I don't want it all to look the same. And once I'm done adding in that third shade of gold, the third color from the right, I went in with the fourth one as well, just in several areas, as you can see there, just to add a darker shade of that gold there. Now I am going to go ahead and bring it up closely right here so you can take a look at how it turned out. And at the end of this video, I'll have some still shots as well where you see a lot better how that paper looked once that watercolor activated the embossed text and how it all looked together. Really, really lovely. So right now I'm just going through my cardstock here to use for my base, and I'm going through some neutral cardstock from American Craft. This is just some textured cardstock, and I pulled out the chocolate color cardstock to be my matte behind a cream colored cardstock. So I'm going to go ahead and gut the chocolate colored cardstock right now because I'm saving that to use later on to matte my photos. And here I cut about a ½ inch off two sides of the cream cardstock. Then I'll go ahead and adhere those two together to create the background for my layout. Now, with my kit this month, I also got a really awesome stencil from Echo Park, and it has a lot of banners on there. It's a whole strip of banners all down the stencil. But I'm only going to be using the top two strips today on this layout. Now, I'm going to add in my watercolor paper, my photos, and just line them up to figure out exactly where I want my banners to go. I'm going to be using that stencil paste you see to the right side. That is from Bo Bunny, and as you can see there, it's pretty empty. I absolutely love that paste. And it is a slightly different shade of gold if you compare it to those stickers, those puffy stickers, but that's fine. I did not mind having different shades of gold because on this layout, you'll see I stick a lot to the golds, the browns, and if everything was the same shade, it will just be a little bit boring to look at. So I really appreciated the different shade of gold with that stencil paste, and it did not look out of place at all. It looks fine. So here I'm just stenciling it in with the tip of my craft knife and lining it up exactly where I want it to be once I add in my photos there and my watercolor paper. I'm going to use my heat tool to help it dry as well, but the stencil paste does dry fairly quickly. I'm also going to be adding in a third banner towards the top of my layout, to the top right corner. And I really love how this looked. I did consider stenciling it using some oxide inks or maybe some gold ink, but I decided to go with the paste instead. It just added a little bit more texture to the layout. So here I'm just going to continue adding in my stenciling to the top and bottom of the layout. Then I'll begin working on my photos and pulling in a little bit of that pattern paper as well. Now, with the watercolor paper, I wanted that to show up a lot on my layout in addition to my photos. My photos definitely remained the focal point. Nothing was taking away from those, but I also wanted to be able to see the beauty of that watercolor embossed paper and all of the words on there. So I did decide to trim it down just a little bit because it was butting up against that banner to the top right corner, and it just was not balanced really well. So I trimmed it down, and I am going to go ahead and ink the edges as well to have it stand out a little bit more. But first up, I pulled in some more of that chocolate brown cardstock there. I'm going to map my strip of photos on that. And then I'll pull in the Vintage Photo Distress ink pad. And using a very small finger dauber, I'll go ahead and ink all of the edges of my pattern paper here, which I decided to use this wood grain paper. And that is from the Jen Hatfield collection. And you can see there I cut it apart, and I'll add the second piece in towards the right side. So it looks like it extends out on the other side of that watercolor paper. So next up, you'll see me just inking the edges. And I just love how that defined each one of those pieces of pattern papers and the watercolor paper on my layout. And I probably should have done this before I adhered it onto my background, but I went in and tried to ink the edges of that cream cardstock as well, which was not very easy to do because some of it was adhered pretty well towards the edge, but thankfully some of it was not. So I managed to get it done, and here I'm just going to go ahead and adhere all of my pieces onto my background, and I'm really loving how this looks right now. I am going to adhere my photo as well, and adding that in, I do add some foam adhesive behind my photos, and that way it adds just a little bit of dimension. Now, my layout is pretty simple after this because I did not want to take away from my photo. I did not want to take away from that lovely watercolored paper. And with all of the golds and browns on here, I didn't want to add too much fussiness on this layout. Now, as always, I do use my cards that come in the kit. You can see it there to the left corner. It says grateful. I use that as inspiration for my title. And this month, of course, I'm using the word grateful, and I found a wood veneer piece with that title in my stash. So I went ahead and adhered it there right next to my photo on the right side, and that will be part of my title. And I also pulled in some of the gold puffy stickers that came with the kit, also from the Jen Hadfield collection, The Avenue. And I'm going to add in the words "Every Moment Matters," which would be like a subtitle. Here I'm pulling in a little bit of black and white because so far we have a little bit of color going on my photo strip, but all we have is browns and golds. So I'm bringing just a pop of black and white into this layout by adding in that reed. Part of it I put to the top left corner of my photos, and the other part you can see I added into the bottom part of my layout. Now I did fussy cut some of these butterflies out because they were black and white as well, but once I added those in, it just was a bit too much black and white. So I decided to remove those. Instead, I added on the word love, and I also added in two more word phrases, best day and also noted, but I'll put those into the bottom of the right cluster where my title would be. So here I struggled a tiny bit because I know I wanted to add a little bit more detail to the layout, but I just was not sure what to add in. Everything I tried to, including those butterflies, just was a bit too much. So you'll see I have some leaves that I punched out using one of my favorite leaf punches, and I used one of the pattern papers from the kit to punch those out, and I'll try in a few moments to add those onto my layout, but you'll see they don't make it till the end. I just did not like how those look, and you'll see me try with those butterfly once again. So here you can see me just adjusting those gold hearts. I added just a strip of those hearts towards the left side of my photo. And I also pulled in 3 of those to the top right corner of the layout, very close to that banner to the top right. And at this point, I felt, of course, it needed something more, and anything I tried just was not working. So I went to my go-to, which would be splatters. That always pulls everything together. And my favorite gold splatter, as you guys may know, would be the Liquitex Iridescent Gold Acrylic Ink. So I'll go ahead and add that all around my layout. I add some heavier drops towards the clusters and some lighter ones everywhere else. Now I do have a little hint of black and white, as you can see with some of those word phrases and the die cut wreath. So I went ahead and pulled in just a tiny bit of golds, of black splatters as well, just to tie it all together. And for that, I'm using some black in the ink, and I'm being very careful not to overdo it. I do add those black splatters just towards the clusters on my layout. I'm also going to add in a doodly border to the border of that cream colored cardstock. And for that border, I'm going to use a very fine tip pen. I wanted it to be really subtle. So I'll go ahead and give you guys a close-up look at my layout in just a few moments. I hope you guys enjoyed the process today. If you did, be sure to give me a thumbs up before you leave, and leave me a comment. Let me know what you think of this layout. Let me know what you think of the Jen Hadfield collection. I absolutely love this collection. As I said in my unboxing, I was not aware of this collection until I got my SCT sampler kit, and I definitely want more of this. So here you can see that lovely watercolor paper, and here you can see a close-up look at all of those hearts as well. Don't forget, go on over, check out Moira's channel, see what she created for you guys today. And I want to thank you all for watching. So until my next video, bye.